Well, as her husband, why would you let it get to that point? Why wouldn't you sit her down as your equal, your wife, and say, listen, I'm worried about you. Enough is enough. If the government is hiding something, she's not going to uncover it. We couldn't uncover John F. Kennedy's true assassination, and I know there's a lot more to it. It's been 63 years and we can't get to the bottom of it. Martin Luther King, the same thing. Robert F. Kennedy, the same thing. Jimmy Hoffa, the same thing. If people don't want you in power to get to the answers, you're not going to get to it. Period. She's not going to do it. If the United States government, like she alleges, and the Israeli government, like she alleges, is behind this in some way, you're not going to prove it. It's not going to come out. So why are you doing all of this? What's your end game? Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, my friends, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that, especially through this holiday season. Candace Owens. Mention that name and what happens? People perk up, rightfully so. She's done a tremendous job in building her platform. No question about it. I give her a lot of credit for it. I know how difficult it is to build a platform on YouTube, and she's done a masterful job, no question. Whether you agree with her, disagree with her, doesn't matter. You got to give her props. She's done what she's done. But I made two posts on my X platform, and I stated something that I believe to be true. And the reason I made two posts, I'm going to tell you why. First post, I said that Candace Owens has now become the object of a lot of scorn and vitriol and hate online. And even death threats, according to her. She's getting death threats now out of France. And I held her husband responsible for that. I said he should have never allowed it to get to a point where his wife is facing these kind of problems. And I got, 500,000 views on that. And I got a lot of people that agreed with me and a lot of people that vehemently disagreed with me. And basically what they were saying, and you get a lot of silly comments, but basically what they were saying is, how do you talk about a guy controlling his wife? They use the word control. And I responded to some of the comments, and we'll go through some of them. And I tried to explain myself. I said, maybe you don't understand what I'm saying. I said, the woman has gotten to a point where she's got death threats on her now. She's got a lot of vitriol and hate, and a lot of people are just knocking her online. And I said, it's a husband's job to protect her. And at some point, he should not have permitted it to get to that point. He's got influence over her. Well, I responded to that video after I read some of the comments, and I clarified it. And I said, hold on. I stand by what I'm saying. I hold him responsible for allowing it to get to this point, because I believe it's a husband's job to protect his wife and his family at all costs. And I think at some point he should have stepped in and said, hang on, enough. I'm hearing all this feedback online. People are upset with you. They're calling you names. There's hatred coming. There's vitriol coming. I don't like it. And now there's a death threat from France. According to her, she stated this. And people were saying to me, he doesn't have control over her, and how dare you say that? She's her own person. She's independent. She's doing what she wants to do. She has a voice. I agree with all that. She's independent. She has a voice. She can do all of that. Whether we agree with her or not is not the issue. But her husband should have stepped in. And people say, well, he has no control over her. I said, well, yes, he does. According to her own words, yes, he does. And what do I mean by that? She stated publicly, and you can look it up, I would only stop doing what I'm doing with respect to Charlie Kirk and some of the other things that she's doing, calling people out, if either Erica Kirk or my husband told me to stop. Well, obviously he never did. Maybe now he did, now that she's got a death threat, and said, hey, enough. I don't know. I'm not in their home. I don't know what they discuss. But I believe he let it get to a point where he shouldn't have. And what I stated was this. This is not a question of controlling your wife. It's a question of controlling the situation. Now, he obviously has influence on her. Well, how do I know that? Well, she said it. He would have told me to stop. I would have stopped. But obviously he didn't. And she was once a Christian, and he is a Catholic, and she became a Catholic as a result of her marrying him. Nothing wrong with that. Christians, Catholic, they still believe in the foundation of our faith, which is that Jesus Christ is our Lord and Savior, but obviously he has influence over her. And maybe that's a better word to use. Not control, because I didn't mean it that he was controlling her, but I meant that he was controlling the situation. When you see that your wife is becoming the object of scorn and ridicule and vitriol and hate, how do you just stand by? I mean, they have 4 children together, all young children. And now it's got to a point where the Macrons allegedly, this is her word, she said it publicly, I'm not saying it, I don't know if it's true or not, but I understand it even got to the White House. They didn't verify it. I don't think they took a position on whether it was true or not, but the information made it even to the White House somehow, so maybe there's some validity behind it. I don't know. Listen, I get death threats. You know, you don't know. Some of them are real, some of them, they're just out there. But the point is, they're happening. And I said it's a husband's #1 job to protect his wife. How do you let it get to that point? And then I went a step further. And I said, listen, if she believes that, there's an assassination plot that's deeper than what they're alleging right now, what the investigation had covered to this point, fine. That's her friend. Do whatever you need to do. Investigate it. Do whatever you need to do. I have no issue with that. But some of the things she's done, she's brought a lot of vitriol against herself. Now, is it warranted? I don't agree with that. I'm not saying that people should go off on her because she's had a certain point. I mean, maybe if she insulted people, they can come back and respond to that. But I'm not advocating violence against her or hatred against her in any way. I don't think that's right at all. So I'm not saying that anything that's happening to her is justified. I'm not saying that. But I'm on social media too. I understand that you can say things that can cause people to be pretty upset. And in today's world, there are a lot of loose cannons out there. So my point is, you need to protect your wife. I'm sorry. There is a point when you sit her down and say, hey, enough. This is getting to a point where, #1, I can't sit back and listen to people saying such horrible things about my wife and ridiculing my wife and calling her names and spewing out hatred on her. I can't do that. And now it's even gone to a point where possible hit out on you? No, I can't do that. As a husband, you needed to bring it to a halt. I maintain that position. Won't get off of that. I agree with that 1,000%. I can never sit by and watch my wife be the object of scorn and hatred and vitriol and, God forbid, a contract, none of which is justified. She has a right to say what she wants to say online. If people want to respond to her, that's one thing. But the hatred and all this stuff, I don't agree with any of that. And she shouldn't be the object of any of that. I'm not saying it's justified, but hey, we live in the real world. We know what social media is all about. It happens. And he should have protected her. That's my position. Well, when I made the second video and people kind of understood when I clarified, I didn't change my position at all. I just clarified it because for some reason, both men and women were offended by the word control. And I want to explain this too. If a man, a husband, is doing something that could possibly jeopardize himself or his family in any way, then the wife has every right to sit him down and say, hey, what are you doing? I know darn well if I was doing something that jeopardized my family and my wife knew, she'd be the first one to say, hey, cut it out or stop or you've done enough. Done enough. End it. I'm finished with it. And I want to bring up another point. The world doesn't need another wine. It really needs a reason to raise a glass again. A reason that's real. A reason that means something. Because most people, they drink to forget. We drink to remember where we came from, what we stand for, and who we still fight to become. We don't follow trends, we break them. Our bottles don't look like anyone else's because our story, it isn't like anyone else's. It's about freedom, about redemption, about family. That's what's inside every bottle. So, to the ones who think different, who live different, who drink different, salute. It obviously all started with the Charlie Kirk murder. Let me tell you this. I don't care how good of an investigator she thinks she is. I don't care. she's never going to get to the bottom of this. Never. If the government is hiding something, she's not going to uncover it. We couldn't uncover John F. Kennedy's true assassination. And I know there's a lot more to it. It's been 63 years and we can't get to the bottom of it. Martin Luther King, the same thing. Robert F. Kennedy, the same thing. Jimmy Hoffa, the same thing. If people don't want you in power to get to the answers, you're not going to get to it. Period. She's not going to do it. If that's her real motive, it's not going to happen. So as her husband, I'd say, hey, wake up. Where are you going with this? What's your motive? Where are you going? You alone are not going to prove this. It's not going to happen. If the United States government, like she alleges, and the Israeli government, like she alleges, is behind this in some way, you're not going to prove it. It's not going to come out. So why are you doing all of this? What's your end game? And somebody said, well, I'm going to read some of the comments. Well, because she wants to enlighten people about how bad the government could be. Like, I don't know that. Like, people don't know that at this point. I wrote a book, Mafia Democracy. You're preaching to the choir. As a matter of fact, I know more than you with respect to the government and how shady and underhanded they could be. And I think most people get it now. So if that's your motive, well, you already accomplished that. Now it's time to back off. Now I understand she had to take a break from the internet because she was concerned about this alleged death threat on her life. Well, as her husband, why would you let it get to that point? Why wouldn't you sit her down as your equal, your wife, and say, listen, I'm worried about you. Enough is enough. It's time to shut it down. You're not going to prove anything. It's time to shut it down. We have 4 children, and we have a marriage, and we have a life. And I don't care how much you love Charlie Kirk. You're not going to get to the bottom of this. So I'm your husband now. I come first. Enough. Why would he do that? Because he's protecting her. Protecting his marriage and his kids. There is a time when you can, as a consensus, you come together and you say, that's enough. Now, that's my belief, and I stand by it, and I'll say it again. I would never, ever sit back and let my wife be the object of such vitriol and hatred and abuse online. People calling her all sorts of names. She's lost her mind. She's this, she's that. And of course, listen, she brought a lot of this on herself because there's other things that she said. Other things about Protestants. There was other things that she said about other people. I'm not going to get into all of that. Whether it's right or wrong, true or false, it doesn't matter. And I am not commenting on that. I'm commenting only on what she stated. Right, wrong, indifferent, I'm not commenting on it. So get it straight, because I know we'll get a lot of people, saying silly things that I said she's wrong. Or I'm not saying anything about what she's trying to do. I'm not saying there's not more to the Charlie Kirk murder. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying a lot of the stuff that she's saying is false or true or anything else. I'm only commenting on her husband's obligation at some point to say, enough. You put yourself in a tough position here. Enough. I'm not going to stand by and wait. Maybe I'm walking down the street and somebody's going to throw something at you or spit at you, or I have to worry when you're out alone in a parking lot. I'm not going to do that because there's lunatics also on social media, and you've made a lot of enemies. I have a question for all you guys out there. Before I show you this video, I have a question. Candace Owens has now become the object of a hit on her, according to her. She's also gone silent on social media for a while because she said she needed to. She's also become the object of vitriol, hatred, ridicule, and scorn in big numbers. Don't take my word for it. Go on social media. She's put herself in that position. But she said, if my husband told me to stop, I would stop. Her husband did not tell her to stop, and that's the position she's in. For you men out there, how would you feel if your wife was in the position of Candace Owens right now? Ladies, I ask you the same question. How would you feel if you were in Candace Owens' position right now, where she allegedly had to go cold on social media for a while because, according to her, there's a hit out on her. Her life is in jeopardy. How would you feel if your husband, you're in a marriage, if he did nothing to rein it in and to try to stop you, when all he had to do, according to Candace, and probably according to you, is say, I don't want you to do this anymore. You're jeopardizing your life, our marriage, our children. Stop. How would you feel if you were in her position right now and your husband could have stopped it? I asked the ladies that, and I asked the guys. How would you feel to have your wife in that position? Would you have done something to stop it? We're going to show you video number 1. I'm going to read some of the comments, and then we're going to show you video number 2 that I wrote to follow it. Between the two of them, like 1 million people responded. So this is something that people have strong feelings about, very strong feelings about. So I think it's very appropriate that we talk about it on this platform also, since we've gotten such a reaction on X platform. Hey, everyone. You know, Candace Owens has certainly been a hot topic of conversation over the past couple of months on social media. I would say ever since Charlie Kirk was tragically murdered back in September. And I'm not going to comment on some of her theories and the things that she said about that and about the Macrons and other people. You know, if that's what her thing is, then that's what her thing is. She certainly, you know, seemed to want to become the #1 podcaster, so she created a lot of controversy. That's what does it, it seems. But here's what I have to say. Her husband, why would he allow her to do this? Because she is really getting a lot of hate mail. A lot of people are turning on her, really putting her in a situation where people are hating on her. Why would you allow your wife to be put in that position? I would never put my wife in that position, not for social media, not for money, not for anything. To be so hated? I mean, she's out there, she's in public. You know, she's claiming now that the Macrons have, you know, a hit out on her. They want to assassinate her. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just normal people on social media that have really turned on her and really have spewed hatred out on her. Why would you allow your wife to be put in that position? I hold him fully responsible. I would never put my wife in that position to where people hate on her so much because of what she's doing on social media. I think that's, you know, 100% wrong on his part. And I don't know what their motive is. He's got plenty of money. They don't need money. You know, it was him that I believe caused her to leave the Christian church and become a Catholic. It's still Christianity, but, you know, she turned to Catholicism. He seems to have a lot of pull over her. Why would he put her in jeopardy like that? I hold him 100% responsible if something would have happened to her. Any lunatic could take a shot at her for whatever reason, but she set herself up for it. No one to blame but her, and I hold him responsible. I hope nothing happens to her, but in my view, 100% responsible, not manly, not what a husband should be doing, not one bit. All right, you saw the video. Now let's get into some of the comments. I'm not going to name the names of people. I don't put people on Front Street, but here's one. This is a good one. Spot on, Michael. No matter how much of a fighter I'd want to be, I just cannot imagine my husband allowing so many people to disrespect me online and to endanger my life while doing so. I just can't picture in my head him knowing that and being like, this is fine. But this is how masculine and feminine polarity works. She's a great woman, but she's more in her masculine and therefore would be with a man more compatible to that. No woman in her soft feminine would attract a man that allows her to argue on the internet to a degree that it puts her life and potentially their kids' life at risk. And this is what she's saying. Candace is saying her life is at risk. It's not other people saying that. And what this woman said is spot on. She said it as well or better than I did. She can't understand her husband ever putting her in that position or allowing her to get herself in that position. Okay, here's another woman. The comments section taught a great lesson. It's only you, meaning me, and Zionists that hate real Candace Owens. The rest of the world loves her. Where did I say I hated Candace Owens? I'm a Zionist? Why am I a Zionist? Where did that come out of what I just posted up there? You saw what I posted, but I hate Candace Owens. She has no clue what she's talking about. Yet she says I hate her. These are the comments. Look at the post and then comment intelligently. Zionist. Here's another one. Damn, Mike, Israel got to you too? After PBD, Patrick Bet-David, was compromised, it only makes sense. How did Israel get to me when I'm talking about her husband protecting her from all the vitriol that she's receiving online? What did that have to do with anything? These people comment. I don't even understand where they're coming from. Israel got to me. Why am I so important that Israel is going to get to me? Yeah, Netanyahu is going to send people to talk to me, like I make a difference in his life or in Israel's existence. It's so inane. It doesn't even make sense. But this is what you have on social media. Instead of commenting, hey, it's not her husband's job or whatever, you make some ridiculous, nonsensical comment like that. Here's another one. So if people hate you for telling the truth, you should shut up? No, that's not how it works. Your logic is flawed. What does that mean? What I'm saying is, again, she's the subject of vitriol, and now she claims her life is in danger. So when do you stop? When does the husband jump in and say, hey, enough? You're endangering your life and the life of our family, and maybe our marriage. Enough. But what is she saying? My logic is flawed in that? Let me ask you ladies, don't you want your husband to be protective of you? If you were doing something that might be on the verge of endangering yourself, should your husband not say something to you? Should he not say, hey, enough? You made your point here. You're not the FBI. You're not an investigator. You're not going to get to the bottom of this. Enough. We have a marriage. We have kids. And I love you. I love you. I don't want you walking out in the street and somebody throwing, hatred at you and spewing vitriol at you. Isn't that what a husband, a man is supposed to do? People have lost sight of what a man and a husband are supposed to be. That's not controlling your wife. That's caring for your wife. That's loving your wife. That's protecting your wife. I don't understand the logic in some of these people, the comments that they make. Not me. There's another comment. He's a supportive husband. Imagine the pillow talk in that household. Another guy would have committed her or divorced her, but he's stuck in there because that's true love. Really? Stuck in there for what? He's sitting back while his wife is on there getting everybody a lot of people to hate her. Let me be clear and say everybody. But enough. Go on social media. A lot of people have turned on this woman. And she says her life is in danger. She said it. She claimed it. When is enough enough? That's loving your wife by allowing that to continue? By not talking her out of it? By not sitting her down saying enough? That's loving her? Oh, I'll let you go on there, honey, and don't worry about it. Keep it up. No problem. If they hate you, they hate you. If they spit at you when you're walking down the street, it's okay. If they put a hit on you from France, that's okay. Don't worry about it. What kind of flawed logic is that? Because we lose track and sight of what men are supposed to be like. So what you're really calling for, Michael Franzese, listen to this, brain surgeon, is to beat the living S out of her like the old days when you ran the streets. There is literally no other way to shut a black woman up than to beat her within an inch of her life, and even then, I'm not sure she'd shut up, but what do I know? Okay, that's a ridiculous comment. I never, ever, ever in my life raise my hand to a woman, nor will I. That's ridiculous. Okay? Of course I don't want her to beat. It doesn't even deserve a comment. Nobody's telling you to beat her. We're telling you to sit down and talk to her and get some sense into her. Enough. I don't understand these comments. Another one. Candace Owens is an outspoken political commentator. No man, including her husband, is going to muzzle her. Well, let me tell you this. Candace Owens' own words. She said, the only way I will stop is if Erica Kirk or my husband tells me to stop. Which means he hasn't. Which means he's irresponsible, which means he's allowed his wife to become the object of hate and vitriol and put her life in danger. He's done nothing to stop it. So yeah, I'm calling him out. That's not what a husband does. I'm not doubting you love your wife. You're just not acting the way you're supposed to act with your wife, towards your wife, protecting your wife. It's millions of Americans who are sick of Trump giving Netanyahu a blank check to bomb Gaza and oppose Trump's involvement in the Israel-Iran conflict. I thought you MAGAs were all about America first. What does that have to do with anything? She made her comment about that. A lot of people disagree with what's going on in Israel. What does that have to do with anything? Because you're probably an anti-Semite, you make a comment like that? I'm talking about her husband protecting her. That's what this was about. Another one, because he loves and supports his wife and doesn't believe it's his right to allow her to do anything. He loves her and in turn supports what passion she chooses to pursue. It's called a good husband. No, that's not called a good husband. A good husband protects his wife. If a wife is going outside of where she should be going, he's supposed to tell her, and vice versa. You know how many times my wife checks me sometimes? Hey, you know what you're doing? You sure? There's nothing wrong with that. I'll pay attention to my wife. I'll listen to her. If I disagree with her, I'll tell her. But what's wrong? You're supposed to do that. That's what a relationship is all about. You watch one another. You protect one another. This is not only a one-way street. A wife can do that with her husband too if he's making a mistake. That's what marriage is about. It's about protecting one another, loving one another. You don't love somebody by allowing them to do whatever the hell they want and putting themselves in danger. And remember, it's her own words. She's the one saying she's in danger. She's the one that says a hit is out on her. And the vitriol coming online against her is to a point where enough. You don't know what true love is, my friend. If you think allowing your spouse to do anything that he wants or she wants is true love, no, not when it comes to their protection and their safety. Oh, here's another good one. You're retarded. I'm retarded for wanting to protect my wife and wanting her, Candace's husband, to protect her. That's being retarded. Says a lot about you. I'm not going to mention your name. I don't put you on Front Street. Okay, here's another one. Because George doesn't own Candace. Okay. She's made it very clear that nothing matters more than truth and righteousness and that she won't cower to bullies who clearly have something to hide. Charlie wasn't some random influencer. He was like a brother to her. They basically grew up and forged their careers together, so she's supposed to just sit back and let some BS slop full of holes, lies, and anomalies pass by after watching her friend get publicly executed. Only a sellout would do that. Is Erica Kirk a sellout? Is she a sellout? Answer that question. That's his wife. She's not out there doing all of this. Are you saying that Candace Owens cares more about Charlie Kirk than Erica Kirk does? Are you saying that? And Candace Owens' statement was, the only way I'll stop right now, if you were in that position and your husband sat by and let it happen, because he did let it happen, because she said he could have stopped it. Please let me hear from you. My friends, a recent post I made about Candace Owens, I believe needs some clarification. When I stated that her husband is in great part responsible for what she's dealing with now, possible death threats, scorn, ridicule, and hatred online from thousands of people, I meant it. But when I said control, I am not saying anything out of turn. Candace Owens, in her own words on her platform, stated that the only way I would stop what I'm doing is if my husband told me to stop. He didn't, and as a result, she is dealing with all the stuff I just mentioned. So he did have control over her and the situation. Not controlling her life, and don't take it to the extreme. But when you see your spouse, your girlfriend, your significant other, possibly getting into a situation that could be detrimental to her, you control it. You step in. You tell her, hey, enough. And let me tell you this. Candace Owens, she can do whatever she wants. She has a right to get on there. Charlie Kirk was her friend. She has a right to investigate. I respect her. She's an intelligent woman. I may not agree with everything she's saying, but I don't fault her for getting on her platform and saying whatever she believes to be true. But let me tell you this. She's never going to prove that Charlie Kirk was murdered by Mossad or anything else. If the government wants to hide it, they're going to hide it. We still don't know the truth about John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King or a score of other things or Jeffrey Epstein or any of that. So when it comes to a point where now it's getting her in trouble, that her life is in danger, I think it's time to put a stop to it, and her husband should have stepped in and done exactly that, and he didn't do it. And as a result, she's dealing with some serious consequences. I don't know if it's true or not, but she claims there's death threats on her. And she's certainly the object of scorn and ridicule and hatred online. Who knows what that can lead to? Her husband should have stepped in and controlled the situation. So that's what I meant. And for you guys out there that's saying, you know, you don't control your woman, that's what I meant. You protect your woman. And the same way a woman can protect her man, her husband, if he's doing something that can jeopardize himself. It's a mutual agreement. It's not what you say, and I stand behind that 100%. Her husband should have stepped in and controlled the situation. She wouldn't be dealing with what she's dealing with right now. You saw the video. All right, my friends, that's it. I know I get a little worked up because I don't understand how people think. I just don't. But you heard it. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Really love to hear from you on this. We need men to be men. Period. They are the protectors. They are. They're the patriarchs. They're the protectors. And they need to act like that. With your wife, with your girlfriend, with your fiance, with your kids. We are men. That's our job. It's not demeaning to women. How do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless each and every one of you through this holiday season, your families, your friends, your communities, and your neighborhoods. And God bless America. And yes, I'll see you all next time. Take care.